Hey, what's up, YouTubers? I got an Amazon Fire TV box here. I already did the disassemble of it. It's basically pretty simple, disassembling the box. And basically, when you have it underneath like this, you just pop something underneath there. So say you just pop this, pop it out all around the edges. Once you remove it, you actually have the heatsink attached to here, just like that. You know, this is pretty much a crappy design that they did here. You know, there's no fan, and they spent all this money on this metal. They could have just used a fan on top of here, cooling this down with a smaller portion of this. So these boxes get hot, especially when you're running like operating the 4K on it. Get extremely hot. Sometimes they'll shut off, glitch up, and most of the time it's glitching out. You know, I use it for streaming TV and stuff, but this thing is just enclosed in a box with no vents whatsoever in this box. I don't know why they would do something like that. Maybe time after time you're using it for a couple years, and you see these refurnished for a reason, because the CPU gets too hot on here. CPU, GPU, whatever you call it. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna like modify this. I'm gonna ghettoify it. So I'm gonna take this off. We'll use that. We're still gonna use this plate, unfortunately. So what I'm gonna do is take this cover off here. By taking that cover off, we have access to the RAM chips. This is the memory chip over here. And also they got a JTAG connector right here to program the boards. So I'm going to leave this on here. I'm going to put this on top of here. We're going to take that, toss that to the side. We don't need that no more. And the screws that it came with, I'm going to reuse those for the bottom plate, of course. Gotta get a Phillips head here. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be putting this plate on there, but we're not going to put the plate on there just yet. So what we're going to do is we're going to mod some wires. We're going to take this part and we're going to take this MacBook fan here and we're going to make it spin by connecting some wires here to the 5-volt rail and the negative. And so basically having this fan here, it's going to push air underneath here and cool the system, also cooling the surrounding area of the metal plate. So first we need to find out what rails do we want to use for the fan. Do we want to use a 3.5 volts, or do we want to use 5 volts on this? Because you really don't need the fan. I don't want to be overclocking this Amazon box, which will get way more performance out of here. So alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to snip the wires here on this. So basically I'm just snipping these. My video, I don't know, I can't focus it for some reason, but so what we're gonna do with those two wires right there, we're gonna just use wire strippers, or you use your nails. I just use my nails on this, hopefully. Alright, so I'm going to pump a little voltage into this. Alright, so we got those clipped up. Turn my power supply down. Pretty sure those are the right wires. Yep, it is. Just had them reversed. Alright, so we got the fan running. That's 5 volts into it. Let's try 3.5 volts. Alright, so that's pretty quiet. Let me try it on the plate, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it right above the CPU, or right at that area. So it's blowing air all around it. So what we need to do is find a 5 volt rail now on the Amazon box, TV box. So I know this this pumps in, I think, like 18 volts, the charger. You can plug that in, test it. Really sucks about these two. You can't really turn down the, or turn the machine off actually. Usually it always stays running. So by the power jack going in, we're going to test over here. We're going to test just a couple things. Alright, so that's 3.4 volts. Don't want that. Okay, let's see by the SD card. There should be some 5 volts coming out of there, around that area. There we go, we got 5 volts coming out of that rail. That shouldn't disturb anything pulling the voltage off of that, so. What we're do is we're gonna solder a positive wire lead through that capacitor. So that capacitor right there we're gonna solder to. So basically we're gonna run some jumper wires honestly, I'm thinking about just running some wires along the side here. So from the capacitor over here, run them all the way to the side. As long as we stay on this side and not the other side, because it's like the Wi-Fi antenna. I don't know, it's not going to focus for some reason. There it goes, if it wants to focus. And imagine for Bluetooth. Then we could just take a ground, put a ground wire here, and just come from here. Or either one of these connectors, but the plate's going to sit on top of here, so we don't want to put that on there. So basically for this I'm just going to use a speaker wire. It's not like it's really high voltage, so let's see if I can find. Take these edges off of here. Add some flux to the tip there. Alright, we can clean that up now. I'm going to fold that downwards, pushing it down. I'm going to put some UV cure over this solder mask. Just a little bit, like a little drop, and then we're going to put some around for holding the wires in place. Alright, that should be good enough. So what we're going to do is we're going to want the wire to come wrap around here. Without touching the ground. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a piece of Captain tape just to hold it in its place. That moved out of its place. There it goes. And you know, you could use any type of fan with this, as long as it's a 5-volt fan. Take another piece of tape. Then you gotta put our just little piece of tape, hold that in place. We can take off some of this other pieces of tape now. Alright, so what we'll do is we'll just take the ground, we'll solder a wire to this ground plane, and then just run a wire out. You can test and see if, make sure, so in continuity mode. Alright, so just make sure, sometimes it's not grounded, those planes. What we're going to do is add a little bit of flux here. Trim us a wire. Just gotta scrape some of this off of here. Alright, that should be good enough. Put some flux on the end of it. few extractors be on. So I'm just going to add a little bend on this. Make it look a little prettier. There we go. Oh, you guys didn't see that on camera, but yeah, it's just basically soldered a wire right there. It's on there. Let me clean that up. Now since I moved my Q-tips, I always want to grab for the Q-tips right there. And I'm going to put the Q-tips back in that spot. Alright, now what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to put this wire in place too. Doesn't have to be perfect, but just to keep this wire down in place. So we can put some mask on here. Alright, so we're just going to let this cure for a little bit. After letting this cure, what we'll do is we'll probably mount the bracket after this. And what we'll do is the top heat plate, we'll mount that, and then what we'll do is we'll glue the fan into place. What I'll do is I'll use a hot glue gun, and then I'll use an epoxy afterwards to hold the fan in place. And then what I'm going to do is actually, for part 2, I'm actually going to 3D print a cover, like a special custom cover that has vent holes and stuff so the box can actually breathe. And what I'll do is I'll substitute for the fan being sticking out the front. So having the fan stick out of here, it's going to be sticking out just a little bit. So what I'm going to do, it's going to sit out like that basically. So what I'm going to do is redesign a different case for it. And I thought about too adding a reset switch to this, because you know the Android boxes, you know, you got to reboot them, unplug them every once in a while. You just have to. So it would be nice to have an actual reset button added into this function. And why I'm thinking about doing that is because it's a pain in the butt just unplugging it, plugging it back in. I mean, so these are features that, you know, that Amazon should have. They should have vents in their system, you know, cooling the device down. They should have saved a little money on this piece of metal here, whatever it is, cast iron, crap metal. You know, so what they could have done is just, with the cost of this, I think just a little copper shim, you know, on the heatsink. I should probably do that too. It's not a bad idea. Give myself another idea there. Okay. So yeah, that's what I'll probably do. I'll just put a heat or a copper shim on here. So I'm going to change up the whole design, I guess. Yeah, wouldn't it be dope putting an actual heatsink on there? For the RAM and that? Yeah, that's a good idea. So I could put this down here on top of there with some thermal paste and glue it in place. Just tack it down with a hot glue gun and then epoxy it. Then I don't have to make a bigger case. I can make just the same amount case and keep the fan enclosure inside. So I'm going to still have to mod the case just a little bit. I think that's a pretty good design. So we're just even going to ghettoify it even more. Alright, so I'm changing up the design a little bit. I'll keep the fan enclosed on top of the RAM, or the memory chip. So this will be completely blowing right on the RAM and CPU, GPU. It's like taking a long time. So what we're going to do is get rid of these pad things. That's the memory chip that they used. I wonder if I could find like some RAM chips like that and upgrade it. You could actually upgrade the memory on the storage if you wanted to. Coca-Cola time. Alright, so that should be good enough for that side. Doesn't have to be nothing special. Now I'm just going to go over this, clean this up a little bit better. Take a little piece of garbage there. There. It's fun when you get time to do little side projects. I got so many things to do for like the 3D printing and stuff. It's just time consuming. Alright, so that's done. Remove the tape from here. Alright, so this is what I was thinking. Let's just mod this with a heatsink, actually, a real one. Throw their crap away. I don't think this box is going to be getting hot anytime soon. Alright, grab a glue gun here. Cover that up. Grab a glue stick. Like, in theory, you could just use the hot glue. You don't even have to do no epoxy. So what I was thinking is, why not just put a heat sink on it? I'm wondering. Wonder if I have a thinner one. Ooh, that's a nice tight fit right there. Can't be touching nothing to ground out or anything, so all we got is these two capacitors over here on the side, which should be fine. As long as we're not hitting them. If I come over a little left, you can tap them. So what I'll do is I'll just bend this up a little bit. Yeah, this is a ghetto fine. So there we go. It's not gonna touch nothing. So we can put thermal paste on this. Wonder if anybody's ever done this to an Amazon box. Grab another tube. Alright, got another tube here. That much. I'm going to take some of that off. There's a little big blob in the center there. That's definitely, some of that's going to have to come off. I mean, so there wasn't even nothing on the ram chips. I wonder how hot the ram chips would get. If I had a thermal camera, I would actually check the temperatures on that thing. I'm going to take some of this off somehow. There we go. Alright, so what we're going to do is put this copper shim on top of there. Alright. It's covering the whole chip and everything. So if my glue gun here is hot enough, should be able to tack these corners down. Doesn't look the prettiest. I mean, you can go over after it with some little bit of heat. But this will secure it. It'll be good enough. We'll make it look pretty. Just so the glue is all the way even. This is one ghetto-fied Amazon box, but probably going to be one of the coolest Amazon boxes on the planet. Especially like overclocking. So, you see that still moves a little bit. Press down on it. So in theory, put it like this. we're gonna have to do is get a layer of just hot glue on these components over here. Make the J-tag connector. This is just basically going to stop it from touching any of these components, and also from the vibrations. So go high tech and like print a 3D bracket and everything for it, but it's not worth it really. I'm gonna print a cool case for it, like a Batman case or something. Amazon Batman edition, something. So I'm gonna put some support brackets for it. Theory. So let's just glue this sucker down. So this material doesn't want to really stick. So you're going to have to probably come over afterwards with it with an epoxy. So basically I'm just gluing here, gluing under here. Just making some brackets. So this acts like as a shield to cool the memory, but you really don't need to cool the memory. Change out the LED. I was thinking about making it a blue one, so the ugly color that they have. in play, I was thinking about alright, so while that's curing, we can attach these wires, figure out how we're going to wrap the wires under here. So we're going to have to add some solder, some flux to these ends here. Oop, oh, I don't twist the wires up. So I just snip those off. We're gonna have to scrape those ends. Wish there was like a stripper tool for small gauge wires like this. Hold this one down. Alright, so we got some flux to these. Try to get some solder on those. So forgot which one's which. Okay, so that one's positive. positive one was the one that was on the outside, so. Alright, so now when we plug this in, we should have fan spin. That means we fixed the MacBook. Not. Alright, so we got fan spin. It's nice and quiet. Oh, it's cooling big time, man. I don't think this box is ever gonna get hot. So we got fan spin. So what we can do is adjust these wires here. Clip the other wires we're not going to use. So we can kind of rig this up to sit in here. Some hot glue on it, covering it. Tuck this wire in there. Wires want to be difficult. Alright, so we got them tucked away in there. I don't know if you can see that, it's a little too bright. They're not touching anything. Let me just hot glue those in place. So we'll just let the hot glue fall in there in its place. You can see it's covering the connectors. So that's basically all I did for that. No wires exposed, not grounding out. I can just go through on the edges here, clean this up a little bit. Alright, so for my 3D printed box, in theory, I'm just going to have to, just a little section out for the fan on the sides, I'm going to have to make a different box. Because you see it's going to obviously stick over the edge. This is a weird thing I saw inside here. I don't know what this is for. It's like a security sticker or something. It's got a microchip in it. So there's a microchip inside this thing. I don't know if this is a security tag. Never seen one like that. I'm actually going to try to remove it. If anybody knows what this is, pretty sure it's a security. Some type of tag for scanning stuff. I don't know. This is in the bottom of the Amazon box right here. It has a plus sign on there. Number is 293-1. And it has an actual microchip inside it. We can zoom in on here. See, there's the IC right there that's shining. I don't know, that's pretty weird. You guys know, leave a comment in the description. Let me know what it is, but yeah, so we'll check out our high-tech modification here. Ghetto Fabulous here. And the reason why I did this is because, I mean, this thing would just act up once in a while, especially on the 4K. And for streaming, it was always constantly burning hot, you know. You can never even set nothing on top of the device. So what I'll do is I'll print a 3D printer, or use my 3D printer, and I'll print an actual case for this. Make it look nice, put a Batman symbol or something like that on there. Create a little hole for the air circulation to get inside, and exhaust vents not going out the sides here. So, and the reason why I did this is just because of the Amazon Firebox just gets cooking, and then sometimes glitches up, doesn't work properly. And it's just basically overheating, especially in the summer times. So I figured I'd modify my own box. A little few modifications on there, you know. Added a heat sink with some thermal paste right there, all good to go. Instead of taking this crap off right here, and you know what, and their little sticky thingamajiggy, like that's really gonna dissipate the heat that much. So by putting that there, and then taking a MacBook fan here, using that on a 5-volt rail, and what we did is we tapped into the 5-volt rail here. So we tapped into the 5-volt rail. Right off that chip. Ran the lines underneath all along the side here, and then connected a ground and connected the wires on this side through the fan with the wires, and we just used hot glue there. So when I build the case, it really is no need to change this out for epoxy or anything if you're just going to leave it out. and put it under, but I advise you not to because you're going to be tearing off resistors and stuff like that by if your box moves around. If it stays stationary by your TV set or something like that, but yeah, so you should have no problem overclocking this, have no more heat issues, no more glitching. Should get better quality out of video too, out of streaming. So let's just see the fan spin again. We fixed it, we fixed it. We got fan spin. There's your fan spin. So I hope you guys liked the video of the mod to the Amazon Firebox, Amazon TV box, whatever you call it. But just the mod, you know, make it run smoother, not powering off, shutting off on you, fix kind of thing too. But just from it not glitching out, get better stream quality and stuff like that. Have an actual heat sink on there, have a fan in it like it should be designed. So I hope you guys liked the video. If you guys get a chance, give this a thumbs up if you liked it. Also, if you haven't subscribed, subscribe. And thanks for watching.